Based on the poll I had this week, I did the question, which topic would be more interesting to you? And a lot of people responded that they were interested in hearing more about my ayahuasca experiences. And therefore, today I'm gonna share more about this. And I'm super excited, but also a little bit nervous to share this, especially because I have been telling about the ayahuasca here and there in between, but never as profound as I will do today. And especially because my profile is open and everyone can see this, that might be a challenge for me, especially in my work life, that people might be able to see this. However, I cannot deny where my spiritual journey has begun. And as I shared before, my journey started 6 years ago. And my journey started with ayahuasca. 7 years ago, a friend of mine, you might know him, Wichert Meerman, who's doing Eindbazen podcasts. We were colleagues and dear friends, and he shared his story about his experience with ayahuasca with me. And immediately I knew, especially in the situation I was very depressed and suicidal. I thought, I have to do this. But I was too scared to do this. And therefore, I think it took me more than a year before I finally had and took the step to go to a ceremony. So what happened? 6 years ago, I went to a ceremony with the idea, like, I was so depressed and I felt so lonely that I thought, if this wouldn't help me, nothing would help me. And I went there with the intention and the question, what is love? What is love? And why isn't it coming my path? And I went there with the promise to myself to go at least 2 days. And the reason why I did that is because I thought, if it's going to be a horrible experience, then at least I'll give it a second try. Because if this is the last hope I have, then at least I have to try it profoundly. So I went there, and it was a nice space with a lot of people and a lot of hippies. And I saw these people sitting there, and immediately a lot of judgment came on. And I was there, and people were doing like the hape. This is a medicine also from the Amazon, where they blow tobacco in the nose. And I saw these people doing that, and I was like, what are these people doing? You know, like, everyone was wearing white, and I was just sitting there, and we were sharing our intentions. And I was like, okay, I'm here for myself. I'm here for myself. Like, don't pay attention to anyone else. I'm here for myself. And so the question was about love the first time. And the first night, to be honest, was horrible. I never had the experience with a psychedelic before. And I thought I would see elephants in the room or something. I thought I would see things which weren't there. I thought that was hallucination. However, this was definitely not the case. But it took me a while to figure out how this medicine worked. And I had the idea, like, okay, maybe I should drink more. And I went to the shaman a few times to ask for more medicine, and I received more medicine. And eventually I was completely nauseous and shivering and shaking, and I was like, oh my God, this is not the reason why I came here for. This is the reason why I quit any kind of drugs, and I don't want this. And I noticed that I was shouting in my head towards myself, like, you have to vomit. Apparently, or it is part of the journey, is to purge sometimes. And this purging, as soon as you know what it's for, it's beautiful. However, I didn't know, and I thought, okay, and I felt nauseous, and in my head I was screaming to myself, you have to purge, because then you can let go, then you can let go. And I was so nasty towards myself, so ugly towards myself, that I had to let go, and I couldn't, and I didn't know how to do this. And this whole night was like, oh, I wished it was over. However, at the end of the night, apparently other people had a beautiful experience, because at the end of the night, all these people were gathering together and like hugging each other and being happy and sharing love and happiness. And I was like, okay, everything is fine, but please just, I'm good, you know, like, thank you so much, but I'm good. And then in my head, I heard a voice saying, like, if you can't give love, you can't receive love. If you can't see how beautiful people are sharing something and you judge this, then you're judging yourself and not letting love in. And I didn't know at that moment that that was part of the journey of the medicine talking. And so I went to bed eventually after the ceremony, and I woke up the next day and I was terrified to go again. It was a horrible first night. But I promised myself, and I'm someone who's extremely determined, and if I'm determined, I'm just doing everything I can to get to my goal. So I was determined to go another night, even though I was terrified. And the beautiful thing was, I had the same question, but this time I said, I want to face my biggest fear of staying alone for the rest of my life. And yeah, it was funny because not a lot of things happened during that night. I was very scared and I couldn't focus on myself. However, I didn't receive the answer of facing my biggest fear. Apparently, I wasn't ready for that yet. But I was able to focus more on myself and about the loving feeling and the joy I had inside. And people say, like, with ayahuasca you receive visions, but in the beginning I didn't know what these kind of visions were. It took me a while I think it was like 3 or 4 ceremonies where I was able to see what a vision was. And a vision within the ceremony is more like when you're dreaming with your eyes open, or when you're dreaming while awake. So you have, if you think of a tree and you visualize that tree, during a ceremony, this tree will become very vivid. And it's actually your thoughts which are projected in your head together with beautiful patterns and colors, which are like the visions during these ceremonies. At least for me, that is. And well, during that weekend, the day after my second night, I woke up with a severe migraine. My whole face was hanging and I could barely talk. And there were 4 women taking care of me in that moment. They said, like, this is not going well. And they were doing Reiki on me and doing songs and prayers and everything. And I didn't know if it would work. But in that moment, like, seriously, my heart cracked open. And I cried and I cried and I cried. It was as if I felt for the first time in my life what love was. For the first time in my life, and I was 30 years old, I realized this is unconditional love. Once you open for it, this is what you can receive without giving anything in return. These beautiful women wanted to just share their love and their care with me. And that was, it's not that I've never received love in my life before, but I had so many blockages and so many walls in front of me that I wasn't able to receive this kind of love. I was so scared of receiving or opening my heart to be heard again. And I've shared in former vlogs that I didn't have a very good start in life and I had a tough start in life. But this was the moment when, like, everything opened up and I realized my journey isn't over yet with this medicine. And in that weekend, they did 4 ceremonies in a row, or actually 5, and I joined the second night. And I stayed all 4 nights. And the beautiful thing was, bit by bit, I started to learn how this medicine worked on me and what it tried to tell me, what it tried to show me, and all the judgments I had towards others and towards myself. So the beautiful part was, especially during that first weekend, is that I started to see myself, like how ugly I've been to myself and how nasty I've been, and that if I let go and to be sweet to myself, and that other people are caring for me. And so I became more joyful during that weekend. And one moment I asked what it is that is self-love. What is it? And I thought I'd love myself, but this medicine just brought me an insane amount of love. I just didn't know how to cope with it, and I just cried of happiness that I was existing and that I was alive. And I received so much joy, but also so many tears came out of sadness of what I had to go through in my life, and all the pain what I've been through, and everything opened up. And it was hard work, I can tell you. It was insane hard work, but it was so rewarding. And this whole journey started there. And at the end of 4 days of ceremony, I hugged with every single person in the room. So in the beginning, like not wanting to be hugged or touched by anyone, at the end of the 4 days, I was hugging everyone. I was so happy, because in a ceremony, what the beautiful part is for me is that you do it together. When someone cries, you can feel it. It feels like as if that person is crying your tears. If someone purges, it feels like they're purging your dramas, your traumas, your demons, your everything. So at the end of these ceremonies, it really feels like people are doing this together. And when I cried, I could feel the people caring for me and sending them their love to me. And I can really, like, if you ever go to a ceremony, to do this in a group, because for me, that was the most beautiful part of it, to really leave my judgments behind and to speak about judgment. Like, one night was really tough, and I was shown with all the judgments I had, and I was like, I don't judge that much, like it's not that bad. And like this judgment came up, and like so many judgments that I became nauseous. And in that moment, it was so overwhelming that I had to purge. I had to purge out that judgment. And purging is not pleasant, but if you think of it in a way that each purge is something you throw out, which never comes back again. And I purged that judgment out, and it was horrible. But ever since that moment, every time when I judge, it reminds me of that moment of, okay, no, I don't want to judge. Like, I want to see the beautiful side of these people. And that's also what happened in these ceremonies. At the end, I was so full of love, and I remember that I saw myself as such a beautiful person, and I realized that was the best version of me that I wanted to become. And even when I looked in the mirror for the first time during that weekend, I looked in the mirror and I for the first time saw myself for who I am from the inside, without the judgment of the outside. And I could for the first time really see the beauty of me without the judgment towards myself. And that was a very, very profound teaching. Even so profound that I had a liposuction planned after the ceremonies. I was judging my legs and the fat I had around my legs so much that I already had a surgery planned for it. I went to the anesthetics and everything, and I thought nothing's gonna stop me. This is what I want. But the crazy thing was, when I came home and I looked to myself in the mirror, I saw the beauty of me. And the craziest part was that I noticed that I was saying to myself, you wanted to have this surgery. Like, look at it. It's ugly. Look at it. It's ugly. And in that moment, I realized you can receive the most beautiful and profound teaching during your ceremony. But it is when you come home when you have to work with this. So when I came home and I realized that when I was looking in the mirror, I was judging the parts of me, what I didn't like. And I was putting focus on the things I didn't like. And when I realized that, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm choosing to see myself as ugly. I'm choosing to do this. Why am I doing this? And it took me a week or so to eventually cancel my surgery, even though it was already planned and everything was arranged. I canceled it. And I've never looked to my legs the same way. I've always looked in a beautiful way to myself and my body after that ceremony weekend. And I see like the ayahuasca as a teacher, so profound and so beautiful, but it is a teacher who gives you all different kinds of tools and all different insights. And these insights, you can feel it to the deepest cell of your body, like feeling what it is to love yourself. It's something not from the mind, but you have to feel it. And this is something what the ayahuasca brought me. And the thing with the ayahuasca is that I thought like it's just a one time and then it's enough, you know, like, okay, we fixed the problem and then I'm happy and I'm gonna live my life. But I realized that each time I receive a new teaching, and it's as if like going to a psychologist. Like every time you learn something new or you express something new. And what I learned with the ayahuasca is I've been to quite a few ceremonies, and each time it felt like I was peeling off a layer. And I was in such deep depression that after that first ceremony, the first few weeks I was in the clouds. I was really feeling amazing, but suddenly these bumps come back up, and like these bumps in the road, and like you have to do this by yourself and you have to take these teachings of your ceremony with you. So I realized like, okay, I was facing new difficulties and new things, and I took these insights of the ceremony with me. However, sometimes, like with a psychologist, you have to talk again to really see where you're going. So I went to ceremonies, especially the first year. I went like every 3-4 months to a ceremony, and the years after it went less and less. And each time I had different questions about what was going on in my life and what was blocking me. And especially the first year, like the depression came back several times, and I received new insights about how I could be more in balance and how I can be the most beautiful me. And yeah, so whenever I have the calling to go again, what I always do is when I feel the calling, I decide that I have to take 2-3 months for myself to try to go through a situation. And after that, if there's a ceremony I'm willing to go to, then I can lay my question and intention there to receive answers. And these answers are already inside, and there are so many ways to explore these different insights within yourself. However, for me, it was ayahuasca which brought me on a path of self-love and healing. And I want to prevent that this video is gonna be a promotion towards ayahuasca. However, I cannot deny that this medicine has helped me so much. But the medicine gives the tools, but I had to do the work. I had to do and to find my depression. I could receive the tools of happiness and joy, but every time I felt bad and negative and sad, I was the one who needed to focus on the positive in life. I was the one who needed to see the bright side and also to realize that I was addicted to my own misery and that I had to choose also not only look at the bad side of my physical body, but also look at the things in my mind, to really focus on the positive and to stand in my own light and in my own power was something sometimes I had difficulties with. And this was shown with the medicine. However, I had to do this work. And because I was in such a deep, sad, suicidal depression, it made me decide, like, if this is a tool I can use, I have to use the tool. It's not that like, oh, I'm just gonna take it and see how it goes. No, this is something profound. It's something holy and something sacred. Like, you can't just take ayahuasca and like, oh yeah, really nice and fun and great. It's a really sacred medicine, and I see it in a way like, if I take this from the people who bring this from the Amazon to Europe, that it's not something to take lightly. It's a very profound state of mind where you're in during your ceremony. It's you're in an altered state and you have to know what you're doing. And when you receive these teachings, for me it was very important to don't take these teachings lightly, but work with them. Because if I receive a tool so profound that if I misuse it, it doesn't feel good anymore. But that's for me. And what I can recommend for anyone like who wants to do a ceremony themselves or who have been to a ceremony, a few tips and tricks I can give is to go with a very clear intention. An intention is the sails on a ship on open sea. Where do you want to go? What is it that you want to receive of the medicine? And an intention can really help you during that ceremony when it's really tough and dark sometimes to focus, okay, why is it that I see these things? Why is it that I receive these insights or these dark things? And what is it helping me towards my intention? Because I believe that the medicine gives you what it is that you need and what you can handle. And I also say what you can handle. For me, it's very important to know where you're going. For me, it is that I only go to ceremonies with a shaman from the Amazon. It could be Brazil or Peru or Colombia or you name it. Or with people who have been studying the medicine in the Amazon with the tribes and with the traditions and who are helping people here with the ceremonies. So for me, that is one of the most important things. Also, the team who is helping during these ceremonies. Without the team of helpers during the ceremonies I've been in, I wasn't able to go through it. Like, these people are setting anchors during ceremonies. These people are holding space. They help you out with when you're struggling, or when you have to go to the bathroom, or when you want to share something from your heart, or when you're facing difficulties or you don't know what to do anymore, or you have questions about your intentions. A good team is really, really important. And for me it is. And furthermore, I would recommend to go a minimum of 2 nights. If there's an option to go 2 nights, do it. It's extremely different than just one night. The second night, like the first night, is like opening up and exploring, and like it feels like the medicine is in your body and like struggling sometimes. And the second night, that your whole system is already receptive for the medicine, and it doesn't mean you can't have a deep, dark, or profound journey. However, it's more smooth, and it's more like a closing. And if you can do 3 days, do 3 days. Seriously, it's beautiful. It's magical. Furthermore, read about the diet. It's really something. I've done it without diet, with diet. Especially no sex is an important one. No red meat. There's so many different diets. Just read about it on the internet and just feel what feels right for you. And also look, if you're using any kind of medicine or drugs, ayahuasca could be very dangerous to use that. So have a look at that as well. So the diet and the prescriptions. Furthermore, I have so much to tell about ayahuasca. I have so many experiences I would love to share with you, but I see that I've been already sharing for almost half an hour. Maybe I'll share more in another vlog. For now, thank you so much for watching again. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun telling about my first experience and what I've learned in that and what the ayahuasca had brought me. I would love to see you again next week, and I wish you a wonderful evening. Thank you. With love.